from West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Support for the following is provided by the West Virginia Department of Education and West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Hey! Hey everyone, it's Education Station!
Hi, and welcome back to Education Station. I'm your host, Alex Milanese. In today's special parent edition of Education Station, we're going to meet with educational experts who are going to share strategies that you can use while teaching your little ones at home. So first up, we're going to visit Mrs. Carlson, who has 5 tips that you can use to help guide your child through this challenging time. Let's check it out.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Carlson, and I am the West Virginia Early Childhood Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports Coordinator, and I work with the West Virginia Behavior Mental Health Technical Assistance Center at Marshall University. We are a collaboration between the West Virginia Department of Education and the West Virginia Autism Training Center at Marshall University. With the order to stay home due to the coronavirus, you might be feeling challenged by all the changes. Your child, no doubt, may also be feeling the same way. We're going to talk today about 5 tips that are provided by the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations, I'll share their website later, that offer guidance and support for us, parents and family members, to help our little ones during this time. Tip number 1, remain calm and reassuring. Even though we may not feel like it all the times ourselves, we have to model this, especially for our children. We can talk to them about things like, our leaders have made a plan for us to stay home, and that keeps us safe. I'm here and I'm going to help you stay safe. Hearing this is reassuring to children over and over again. Never hurts to say it one more time. Other things that we can talk about that reassure kids are things like, we can't go to grandma's right now, but we can call her, or we can FaceTime her. Things like that would make her so happy. She loves to talk to you. Again, reassurance and remaining calm. Not just important for ourselves, but important and imperative for our children. Tip number 2, provided by the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations, is providing positive attention. Positive attention can be provided in 3 specific ways. First, physical, high fives, fist bumps, and if everyone's feeling okay, even hugs. Giving that big attention physically is important for kids. Other ways, the nonverbals, are facial expressions, for example. Just smiling, making funny faces, letting kids know that we're there and we're proud of what they're doing. And finally, being descriptive in that attention, being very specific about what we like and what we see. So, for example, you made me so happy when you cleaned up all of your toys. Being specific is very key in providing positive attention. Teaching safety habits is tip number 3. Now, this is important at any time, but especially during this time when it's so important to do everything we can to help keep ourselves healthy. So, safety habits for this include teaching your child how to wash their hands. And you may be thinking, well, duh, but it's a different kind of washing when you look at really taking the time to spend 20 seconds. How will you do that? Maybe sing happy birthday with your child while they're doing it, make them understand that that's the time that we have to take. With my son, we do the ABC song twice. We model, wash hands alongside with him. As you can see here is my son and my husband practicing that as they are singing the ABC song. Another thing that we can look in teaching safety habits right now is how to cover coughs and sneezes appropriately. Now, the elbow method is one that works well, and it's simply just doing that. Teaching your child when they have to cough or sneeze, whether they're at home or at school or at the store, wherever they might be, that they just want to take their elbow, sneeze into the elbow, cough into the elbow, and keep covered until this is all done. Tip number 4, being available. Being available by, first, listening. Make sure when your child is trying to get your attention, whether it's verbally or through acting out, that you take time and stop and listen to what it is they're trying to convey to you. Second, talk about feelings. When you notice your child might be disappointed, say things like, "I know you're disappointed that you can't play with your friends right now." Come up with choices, things that they can do instead of the activity that they're missing. Next, try being responsive to their needs. So for instance, if you see them being extra jiggly or moving, or maybe you have more than one child at home and they're fidgeting with each other and trying to keep each other horse playing, and it's just getting to be a little bit too much, draw attention and respond by saying things like, "I see you have lots of energy. Let's see if we can get our shoes on and go outside and play." If you can't go outside, think about things you can do inside that involve some movement. Websites such as Go Noodle or YouTube have Cosmic Kids Yoga are just two things that are free that a lot of teachers use that you can use at home with your kids in days that may not allow us to go outside if the weather isn't our friend that day. And finally, make sure you answer questions honestly and age appropriately. So for instance, if your kid is asking, "Why is this person wearing a mask?" you might just simply say, "Well, they're wearing a mask because that helps keep us safe." We don't want to lie to our children, but we also know they only need to know as much information in ways that their little brains at 3, 4, 5, or 6 can take in. So being responsive, being available, that's tip number 4. And finally, tip number 5, planning your day. Schedules and routines are important for all of us. They're actually one of the many things that we can do to help decrease stress in our daily life. So during this time when routines and schedules are definitely not what they're used to be, we want to make sure we help our kids plan their day as much as we can. This benefits you and it benefits them. Start off by making a schedule and schedule as much as possible. Create routines, do routines, and make sure that you keep them. Communicate both verbally and visually what those routines are. So things like work time, play time, movement time, time to have lunch, now it's time to go outside. Make sure you're telling kids and letting them see both verbally and visually when they're going to happen. Make sure you plan things that are fun. Every child needs something to look forward to. So making sure that's part of your daily routine. Planning activities like, "Hey, let's go outside and have a scavenger hunt. Maybe we can take this time this evening and let's talk about a movie that we really, really want to watch." Or maybe it's just a call to a friend or a family member over FaceTime. Whatever it is, make sure that it's something fun that you and your child can do together. And finally, and most of all, make sure that you make a plan, but be prepared that those plans may not always come through, and we have to be flexible within that. Try your best not to let it bother you, to get you rattled, because that in turn will only do the same for your child. So, plan your day, but be prepared and be flexible when things don't quite go the way you hope. And for the most part, you'll see that this is good for your child and for you. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that these tips and more great information can be found at www.challengingbehavior.org. This website is the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations. You can also find more information on our website at the West Virginia Behavior Mental Health Technical Assistance Center at www.marshall.edu/BMTAC. And you can look here for the website created by the West Virginia Department of Education. It is a specific site that was created as a response to things that families can do with their children and their children's education due to COVID-19. I want to take this time and thank you guys again. Thanks for all you're doing. Take care, stay safe, and if you want to look us up on Facebook, we can be found at WVECPBIS. Thanks. Stay healthy, stay safe. Take care. See you soon.
Thanks, Mrs. Carlson. All right, next up, we're going to visit Mr. Harris, who's going to share some helpful information about the importance of intentional relationships during this difficult time. Let's check it out.
Hi, my name's Jim Harris. I'm the Associate Director of the Autism Training Center at Marshall University. We at the WVATC collaborated with the West Virginia Department of Education's Office of Special Education and Student Support to create the West Virginia Behavior and Mental Health Technical Assistance Center. We're excited to continue this collaboration as we work with public broadcasting to provide families information to better support and connect with their children during this challenging time of the COVID-19 pandemic. The purpose of this video is to talk about intentional relationship building. Now, a lot of us are spending a lot of time at home, a lot of time with our kids. Well, so what I want to talk about in this video is how do we maximize time when we can connect with our kids and deepen those relationships? How do we look at things like scheduling? How do we look at things like focusing on areas of our child interest or integrating movement time or even being lazy and still connecting with our kids? But what I wanted to explore is how do we do this in an intentional way? Because it's not enough just to be in the same room or the same house with people, but it's about how do we focus on making relationship building a priority in this challenging time. Before we get into strategies and ideas, I want to take a minute to talk about the science of relationships, because it is important to understand what we should do or how we should do it, but even more important, I think, is to start with why. So why should intentional relationship building be such a critical part of our day? And it's not just about the relationship that our kids have with us, but it's the relationship they have with their own neurology. It helps build their ability to do things like solve problems, deal with frustration, take risks, recover from disappointment. So I want to talk just a little bit about how when we create this context of safe and predictable relationships, that those safe and predictable relationships create a better neurological foundation for everything that our child does after that. So let's dig a little bit more into why behind intentional relationship buildings by looking at some of the science. So this is the best place I know to start when talking about the science of relationships. So if we look at this little girl and we ask ourselves, why would she let go of the person who has a hold of her right now? And the only explanation for that would be to get to the person that's reaching out to her. Now, let's make it personal for just a second. Imagine your child, your grandchild, a child that you spend a lot of time with. And this could be now, this could have been something historic, but if you remember when they would be like cruising on like a couch or whatever it might be, and you wanted them to walk and everybody's excited for them to take those first steps and you would reach out. Now, what you have to understand is in that moment when you're reaching out, that is one of the most important developmental moments when we talk about relationships. And the reason that is because that child is holding on to something that is keeping them safe and secure, which is that couch or whatever it might be. And what you're asking them to do is let go of that certainty and come to you. And the thing I explain to parents or grandparents or teachers all the time is the only way that kid's letting go of that certainty is if you're worth it. And that's the science of relationships. It's when we are consistent and predictable and caring to the point that the relationship with us is worth the risk. It's worth trying new things. So if we want kids to learn, we have to build a relationship in which they feel safe enough to take risks. And if we want to play this out towards the long term, if we want kids to develop confidence and resilience in the future, that is built on the foundation of predictable and consistent relationships early in life and early in development, where they felt confident and comfortable in taking those risks because they lived in a world where those relationships would always be there and be safe and predictable and caring. So let's talk about some strategies to consider. The first thing you might consider is, how do we integrate intentional relationship building into our daily schedule? Now, The first thing that would mean is that we need to build our daily schedule. I know there's been a few videos earlier in the series that talked about how do we build schedules with our children? How do we make those schedules developmentally appropriate? So what I want to talk about is how do we build intentional relationship building into those schedules that involve our children, but also take into account our own schedule, whether it be if we're working from home or if we're working long hours and coming in. How do we make sure that we build a schedule that has intentional relationship building that works for the whole family?
So here's just an example. This is the schedule we're currently using at my house. And just to give you a sense of context though, my boys are 9 and 13. So based on the age of the children at home that you have at home, this could vary greatly. And the ability for the child to understand the schedule could vary greatly. The format, whether it be picture-based, there's a whole bunch of variations when we start talking about scheduling, and that's not really the nature or the purpose of this video. What I want to focus on, what I want you to think about is, in that general structure of your day, where are you scheduling intentional relationship building time? Now, here's an important thing to understand. In the real world, it's not going to fall the same place every day. Now, you may have those staples of the day, getting up in the morning, eating dinner, going to bed, those kinds of things that are always going to be those kind of anchoring intentional relationship building time. But when we're looking at those other opportunities for intentional relationship building, we might need to make those decisions on a day-to-day basis. So one day it might be during creative time and movement time. Another day it might be during academics, or a combination, or free time watching a show. Here's the reason why I think that's so important, is because that's where we have to balance between the responsibilities we have as parents, whether it be for work or things we have to get done around the house, and the availability to be there and intentional relationship building with our child. And that helps to remove some of that guilt if we feel like we constantly have to be available. It allows us to say no to things, but point to opportunities where we are going to connect and spend that time together. Now, our next tip starts with this question. What does my child enjoy doing? This is a perfect place to start when we're looking at where can we build intentional relationship building into our day. And this starts with what are the activities and things that my child enjoys doing. That may be your child enjoys building with blocks or Legos, art, painting, drawing, playing with action figures or dolls. If they're older, maybe it's a certain video game or certain activity. So what I want you to think about is, what are things my child already has interest in, and how can I share those experiences, because they're already going to be in a positive state. How can I share those experiences with my child? Quick tip. One of the best ways to connect with a child is to let them teach you about something they're already interested in. As a therapist and as a parent, I can tell you that has been the most effective rapport building strategy that I've had. And it's actually fun, and gives you an opportunity to build mutual respect with your child. Find those activities, schedule those in your day. Last but certainly not least is, don't make it too complicated. Listen, this is really just about spending time with your kids. Go out, play a basketball game, play a board game, color, talk about something, watch a show. There's so much pressure to be the perfect parent, doing all the perfect things. Listen, gang, set aside some time every day where you are committing to the relationship with your child.
I hope you found the information in this video helpful. I hope it gives you a sense of where to start when it comes to building intentional relationships with our children, to maximize the opportunity we have while we're at home, to invest the ultimate resource, which is our time with our children. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being present.
For the most current information regarding the West Virginia Department of Education's response to the COVID-19 crisis, you can go to www.wvde.us/COVID-19. This site also has resources for families as well as educators. For more information regarding the West Virginia Behavior Mental Health Technical Assistance Center, you can go to www.marshall.edu/BMHTAC.
Thanks, Mr. Harris. All right, our final stop is with Miss George, who has a great lesson about the importance of helping your child develop self-awareness and social awareness. Let's check it out.
Hey there. My name is Jess George, and I'm an early childhood behavior support specialist at the West Virginia Behavior Mental Health Technical Assistance Center. We're housed at the West Virginia Autism Training Center at Marshall University. My work involves supporting teachers, schools, and districts in promoting positive behaviors and social emotional development in children. The building block of social emotional development is the ability to recognize and appropriately respond to your own emotions and then the emotions of others. This is the building block of what we call social emotional literacy. Now, in a traditional sense, literacy means the ability to read, comprehend, and respond to the printed word. It's the same concept if we think about social emotional literacy. That means the ability to read, comprehend, and respond to your own feelings and actions, and then the feelings and actions of others. The Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Literacy has identified 5 key areas of social emotional literacy. Those areas are, first we start with self-awareness. That means the ability to understand your own emotions. Self-management, which means you have the ability to manage and control your own impulses. Then we move outward to others with social awareness, and that involves being able to see things from others' perspectives and show empathy. The fourth component is relationship skills, and this involves aspects such as communication, cooperation, and problem solving in terms of conflict resolution. And then the last area is responsible decision making, including the ability to consider the consequences of your own behavior and the decisions that you might make. So why is this important? The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation conducted a 20-year study, and the study was published in the American Journal of Public Health. They found the following benefits of strong social emotional skills. First, we'll look at the long term. In the long term, people who had strong social emotional skills were 54% more likely to graduate from high school. They were 2 times as likely to earn a college degree, and they were 46% more likely to have a full-time job by the age of 25. In the short term, though, in terms of our young people, our children, and our students, these are the benefits. They're able to have better management of their own emotions. They have decreased incidence of behavior referrals at school. They have higher school attendance, and as a result of that higher attendance, they have higher academic achievement as well. So in this video, we're going to focus on 2 of those 5 areas. We're going to talk about self-awareness, and we're going to talk about social awareness, because those are really good starting points for kind of building these skills in our children. Self-awareness, though, has to come first. Once a child is able to identify and respond to her own emotions, then she can apply that skill to other people. So let's start with labeling and identifying emotions. One way you can assist the child in labeling their own emotions is to kind of talk about what you see in their behavior throughout the day. And you want to try to look for moments where they're showing all kinds of emotions. Don't just focus on the simple ones like happy or sad. Include other emotions like excited or confused or scared. Help them develop the terminology to label what those feelings are so that they know next time what it is they're feeling. You can use sentences like, "It seems you're feeling a little frustrated," or "I can tell you're very excited," to help children match that emotion to what they're feeling. Another thing you can do is play mirror mirror with your child. That involves both of you sitting in front of a mirror, and then you make different facial expressions, the 2 of you, that relate to different emotions. So you might ask your child, how might one look if she's feeling confused? Or how might someone look if they're feeling angry or excited? And then have the child make those faces, and you can make the faces with them. Another way to support your child is to check in with her frequently throughout the day and ask her to identify how she's feeling. You can even talk about the reasons for those emotions or what caused her to feel that way. To add some more complexity, and when your child is ready, you can help them understand that feelings can change over time, and it is very possible to feel more than one emotion about the same thing. So once your child has shown that she has the ability to identify her own emotions, then we can start building on that skill to identifying emotions in other people. One way you can do this is to play a more complex version of Mirror Mirror, the game that we mentioned a few minutes ago. In this version, you, the adult, can make a facial expression that shows a specific emotion, and then ask your child to identify how you might be feeling or how someone making that face might feel. You can also use everyday opportunities to identify emotions in other people. If you and your child observe someone displaying an easily identifiable emotion, and that can be in real life, on television, or in a book, you can have a discussion with your child about how that person might be feeling. Children's literature is an amazing resource for helping children identify emotions in others. So you could read a story with your child and ask how different characters are feeling. You can talk about why the characters might be feeling these emotions. So now once your child has shown that they have the ability to, number one, identify their own emotions, and then number two, identify emotions in others, then you're ready to sort of add a little more complexity and explore how one's actions and responses can cause emotions in others. So going back to children's literature, because again, that is such a good resource for this topic. When reading a story with your child, after they are able to identify how a character is feeling, ask them how they know or what might have caused the character to feel that way. Another strategy you can use is when you're engaging in make-believe play, either with toys or figurines or with dolls, try to embed into the play a natural conversation about how characters might be feeling based on the events that happen during play. And then ask your child what might have caused the character to feel that way. You, the parent or caregiver, can also label your own emotions around your child and discuss what it is that happened that made you feel that way. To add complexity, and when your child is ready for this, you can label your emotion and then brainstorm with your child what happened to make you feel that way. So the previous strategies that we talked about explore how to help children build a vocabulary and an awareness of emotions, first within themselves and second within others. This is the building block of social emotional literacy. So thanks for spending the past few minutes with me. If you'd like to connect with us on Facebook, you can do so at facebook.com/WVECPBIS. Be sure to like our page so you get our updates right there in your newsfeed. For more videos like this, visit this website. Thanks for watching, and take care.
Thanks, Miss George. All right, well, that wraps up everything for us here today on Education Station. We want to thank everyone who submitted their awesome and helpful lessons, and we want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Education Station.